Well, the Contact Centre Council felt it was necessary to create the Care Initiative to help contact centres improve their handling of consumers who may be in vulnerable circumstances. Every one of us finds ourselves in vulnerable circumstances at some point, and those circumstances can affect the way we interact. It's been suggested that around 25% of the population are in vulnerable circumstances at any given time. But when we're vulnerable, we don't stop being consumers. And that fact made us think about the experience someone in vulnerable circumstances might have when they call our contact centres. We asked contact centre staff about the training that they received, and 3/4 of agents said they only received ad hoc training, if any at all. 92% said training or more training was needed. We looked around for existing resources for contact centre staff and couldn't really find very much, excuse me, so the Contact Centre Council at the DMA decided to create its own. The guidance and training is really needed for the phone because of the very nature of that channel's impact on how we communicate. Our interactions are influenced hugely by the channel we use, and the skills required by the agents to successfully handle consumer interactions by one channel are often significantly different to those required by another. And importantly, different types of vulnerability reveal themselves in different ways across different channels, and agents need to be able to pick up on this. Our training materials take from expert sources ranging from the NHS to Age UK and have been put together by professional contact centre trainers. We believe this resource provides contact centres with a practical and effective resource with which they can improve their customer experience and avoid disengaging with consumers unnecessarily. Well, who's vulnerable and how can we identify them? That's probably an impossible question for us to answer. But actually, is it necessary for us to? The training resource we've put together does provide specific examples of certain vulnerabilities and how they reveal themselves. And we believe these examples are important as they get agents really thinking about how they can adapt. But it's not the vulnerability, perceived or actual, that's at the issue here. It's the customer's behaviour. For example, you know a customer of yours is, say, 90. Apart from that, their name and whatever else is going on in your database, you know virtually nothing else. That's the significant thing. You know nothing else. You do not know whether they are in vulnerable circumstances or not. To assume they are just because of their age is, quite frankly, discriminatory. Your next customer may be in their 30s, but when you speak to them, it's clear they're upset or anxious, uncertain. This customer is vulnerable, and this is when your agent needs to change their behaviour. We believe the Care Initiative will make a hugely positive difference in society. Just look at the spotlight that's been placed on charity telemarketing this year and the scrutiny we are all quite rightly being placed under. As vulnerabilities are increasingly known and understood within society, so we have an increasing need to adapt our behaviour accordingly, and recent media coverage demonstrates the increasing expectations from the public that we do change our behaviour. If our contact centres can really engage effectively with all our consumers, regardless of their circumstances, all parties walk away from that interaction happy. We acquire or retain the consumer accesses the products or services they want or need. People in vulnerable circumstances are no longer left out or have to struggle to get the products or services that are really important to them, but are otherwise out of reach just because we can't deal with them. You can download the DMA's white paper, Guidelines for Call Centres Dealing with Vulnerable Consumers, and our training resource, Caring for the Vulnerable, from the DMA website now for free. We would very much like to hear about the challenges your contact centres have faced, how you deal with them, and how our resources have made a difference to you and your customers, and any other feedback you have on this. So please do get in touch with the Contact Centre Council at the DMA.